What is happening, all you LARPers out there? Welcome back to the channel. It is Range Day Bro, King LARP. Today, we're going to be taking a look and talking about reviewing the Geissele Super Duty 11.5 5.56 upper receiver that you see right here. So let's just get right into it. But before we do, we actually have some things that we need to get out of the way, like our full disclosures, also sponsors of the channel, and then lastly, which we're going to start with, is this beautiful range that we're at today. So big shout out to RPR Ranch out here in Central Texas. It is my favorite range to go to. It is an absolute phenomenal place. Andrea is just salt of the earth, the lady who runs it, and I couldn't say enough good things about it. So a lot of people ask me in the comments, where do I shoot? There's your answer, Reveille Peak, Ranch, or Range. And with that being said, we have to talk about the biggest sponsor of the channel, Happy. So big shout out to all you guys for doing that. Also, let's talk about liking, commenting, subscribing. Even if you're just talking shit in the comments, guys, every single comment helps. So thank you for everyone who engages with the video. Check your subscriptions because a lot of you have been mentioning in the comments that you check and you're unsubscribed. And lastly, guys, let's cover our full disclosures. What is my relationship with Geissele? I have been a huge fan of Geissele products in the past. I spent tens of thousands of dollars on their products. However, this specific upper receiver group, this Super Duty 11.5 and 5.56 was sent to me by Geissele. However, as you guys know, I will give you my unbiased opinion of this upper receiver group, whether it be the specs, the value, how it shoots, all that good stuff. We're gonna cover all of it. And I'm gonna give you my honest opinion of whether or not I believe this Super Duty upper is worth it. And then we're gonna kind of pseudo compare, it's not a true comparison, but we're gonna talk about the URGI at home that you see right here and whether or not you might consider the Super Duty upper over the URGI upper, so on and so forth. Anyone who's watched the channel long enough knows that I'm not a huge spec guy. I will roll the specs in at the bottom of the screen so that if you guys are interested in the very, very detailed specifics, you can see them. However, we're gonna talk about the things that I think are very important, starting off with the barrel. So this is a cold hammer forged chrome line barrel with a pin gas block. That is very important to me. So barrels that are cold hammer forged and chrome line typically last the longest. They have the highest life as far as round counts go. So that's very important to me, as well as a pin gas block. Although I don't believe it's 100% necessary to have a pin gas block, I don't believe it really hurts to have one, and it gives you that extra bomb-proof installation so that you know that that gas block is never going to turn or rotate on you with those set screws backing out for any reason. There's a half moon cut out in the bottom of the barrel and a pin that goes through there so that there's no chance of that gas block ever shifting. Even if you have a really big impact that bends your rail for some reason, that gas block is not going to move, and your gas port and your gas block are going to be lined up, so it's going to remain reliable through extreme scenarios, right? The other thing to talk about with the barrel, so Geissele has phenomenal accuracy, which we've talked about, but before we talk about the accuracy, I want to talk about the barrel profile. This is a Geissele profile barrel, meaning it starts a little bit thicker in the back and then tapers down towards the front of the barrel. So it's still got that thickness so it can maintain accuracy through higher round counts and higher strings of fire when it's getting hot. However, it's also going to be a lot heavier towards the rear rather than the government profile barrel, which the URGI has, which has a thicker portion towards the front of the gun. It's just going to make that weight distribution. It doesn't really make sense the way that the government profile barrel is set up. And again, that was just something the military required for a unknown or a very stupid reason, let's just put it that way. So the Geissele profile is a much better profile barrel, and that's another reason I think it's better than the URGI. This guy actually has a SOCOM profile barrel because I built this one. I love this barrel. It is a super accurate barrel. I was able to achieve sub MOA accuracy. However, it wasn't every group that I shot, just for full disclosure. And at the time I was grouping it with the 5X magnifier and the EOTech EXPS 3-1. We swapped the optics on these guys after this one proved more accurate than the Daniel Defense barrel. So with that being said, let's just take a look at the accuracy portion of the video. All right, guys, with the Geissele Super Duty right here, EOTech EXPS 3-1, 1-dot reticle with the G45 magnifier. And we are going to be shooting this thing at 100 yards. Right now, we have the AAC 77 grain open tip match with AAC bullets in it. We are recording. We're going to go for the center of the target. We just got a rough zero with FMJ at 50 yards, so it may not print exactly on the bullseye, but we're going to have the same hold every time. So turning the brightness down on the EOTech so we get a very precise single dot. All right, there's 5 rounds right there. Okay, that's a pretty decent spread there. Let's give it a minute. Actually, let's change out to the Razor Core, the IMI. All right, we are now shooting the IMI Razor Core 77 grain boat tail hollow point. I believe this is the ammo that they recommend for use. 100 yards. We're gonna do a 5-round group with that top right target there. There's another 5-round group. Okay, that is way better. I guess aim small, miss small. There's 5 right there. I'm very impressed with this Geissele barrel. That is the first and foremost. Now, we did skip over the most important thing for me in a rifle, and it's kind of not really a complete test because reliability is the #1 thing that I judge a firearm based off of. None of my firearms are collectibles. They're all for a duty rated purpose. If my life depended on it, I want this thing to run in adverse conditions, so on and so forth. So we didn't put enough rounds through this thing to be able to say, hey, this thing gets my stamp of approval. However, just knowing Geissele's track record, I'm very confident in its ability. We did put about 1,000 rounds through this thing. No steel case ammo. I don't ever shoot steel case, but different types, 77 grain, 55 grain. We did shoot some M855 as well, some green tip through it. It handled everything phenomenally well. Had 0 issues, magazine or otherwise related, 0 stoppages, 0 malfunctions whatsoever, but it was only through 1,000 rounds. So we'll have to check back in a year or two once we put several thousands of rounds, maybe 5,000 or 6,000 rounds through this upper, so I can come back with a update as far as the reliability and the wear and tear on the parts. However, again, just knowing Geissele and having shot a lot of their products for many years, including the 14.5 URGI that I own, I have 0 doubt that this will be able to withstand the test of time as far as reliability. So now that we've gone over accuracy, we've also talked about reliability. That was a quick one because we've had 0 issues. Let's talk about the most important thing, the shootability and or the recoil. That's what I like to call shootability, right? A lot of people hate that term, but what is it like to shoot? What is the experience like? We've already talked about the Geissele profile barrel, which keeps a lot of that weight a lot closer to the shooter, so it's very manageable. We also have the Huxworks Flow 7.62 TI on here. We'll do a full blast end to ass end overview of the rifle setup at the end of the video, but for right now, it's worth mentioning this is not the Flow 5.56. However, the 7.62 performed very well. It is a 3D printed titanium can, and it is very lightweight, so it lends itself well to the Geissele profile barrel because a lot of that weight is back here towards the shooter. Now, granted, I don't have this thing fully kitted out with a light, a laser, and a lot of other attachments on here, but just starting as a base mark, as a benchmark from where it's at right now, it's gonna, no matter what you add out here, it's gonna be more manageable because a lot of that weight is back towards the rear. Again, the Mark 16 rail also lends itself well to that. It's a very lightweight rail for that reason. And so when you're shooting this thing, being that the front end isn't crazy heavy, you would expect it to have a decent amount of recoil, especially under suppressed fire. That's just not the case, guys. This thing shot like an absolute sewing machine. The recoil impulse is phenomenal. It's straight back. It's virtually non-existent. As you can see in a lot of the videos that I'm shooting. Now, in some of those build drills, I'm just pulling the trigger as fast as I can while trying to remain accurate. So you can see the gun jumping around a little bit, but especially once I get into a brace position, shooting out the distance at these targets, I mean, the actual reticle barely moves off the target whatsoever. It makes it incredibly easy to spot your misses or your hits out to distance, which we did shoot this thing out to distance. We'll cover that right after this. But it is just a phenomenally smooth shooting gun. It feels like a well-balanced, well-tuned machine. And for an out-of-the-box upper receiver group to slap it on a lower and go out and shoot it, I don't know if there's a better option on the market today for just to buy it and just don't have to worry about it, don't have to tune anything, slap it on a lower, and it's gonna run. Now, for full disclosure, this is a mil-spec buffer tube. This is a Daniel Defense lower, and we are running a mil-spec buffer tube, a mil-spec spring, and an H3 buffer in here. So for all of you guys who are wondering, this is not a braided wire buffer or a Geissele buffer weight. This is Daniel Defense buffer spring and weight. So for you guys who are wondering, again, that is the benchmark for which I'm judging this off of because I'm shooting both of these uppers with that mil-spec spring and H3 buffer. So it's a heavy buffer, but the gun ran reliably. It's very dirty. We haven't cleaned it at all yet. I think that nano weapon coating that the BCG has is absolutely doing its job. That is the reliability enhanced BCG. So another thing you're getting for the money from Geissele versus anyone else is their reliability enhanced bolt carrier group, which has this nano coating on it. It also has a Carpenter 158 plus bolt head on it, which they worked with the Carpenter factory there in Reading, PA, I believe, to create a much higher tensile strength bolt head so that I think the lifespan is like double or triple what the typical mil spec requires out of the Carpenter 158 steel. So that coupled with the coating that this thing has, I mean, I just think it's one of the best, if not the best BCG as far as reliability goes on the market today. Again, shot like a charm, extremely smooth shooting, very accurate, and then you get a bunch of upgrades, right? You get a bunch of premium parts for the money, right? As far as recoil impulse and how it shoots like a dream. I could not ask for anything more. It runs reliably unsuppressed, it runs reliably suppressed as well, and then shooting out the distance, that recoil impulse being extremely soft, easy to get accurate follow-up shots. And for an 11.5 to be able to reach out to 400 yards, that consistently is just impressive to me, right? That is why I make the argument that an 11.5 is the last barrel length you'll ever need for a 5.56 gun. And if you want to go out further, you might as well just upgrade to a AR-10 308. So now that we've covered how it shoots, let's just talk about who I believe the Super Duty is targeted for, right? I think that Geissele has offered the Super Duty to the civilian population as well as the URGI, which is big based by them because a lot of companies won't even offer their military contract items, firearms, suppressors, whatever it might be, to the public, but Geissele has, which is really based, and I appreciate them for that. But also, this is their way of improving the URGI because the URGI was held back or had to fit a certain keyhole, right, for the government contract. But this is what Geissele has come up with for the civilian population that is giving you that same durability and longevity, as same exact BCG, same exact finish, and the way they produce the barrels is exactly the same, although the barrel profile is different. And so it's giving you a pin gas block, reliability enhanced BCG, the same airborne charging handle that the URGI gets, and it's giving it to the civilian population in an improved way, right? I mean, Geissele started as a trigger maker for competitive shooting, and then now they are one of the biggest contract holders for small arms in U.S. military history, as far as I know. They have the contract for the URGI for the Block 3 program effectively, and so they started making products for the civilian market. In a lot of ways, that's how innovation starts. It starts on the civilian side, and that's why a lot of people say mil-spec is just the cheapest, is just the lowest bidder that meets the specifications. And so I think Geissele, what they did was they created a better version of the URGI for the civilian population, and this is what it, culminated to, is the Super Duty upper receiver group. You get the same Mark 16 rail. They have steel reinforced QD cups, which I really love. Super lightweight, extremely accurate yet durable barrel, a extremely reliable and long lifespan for the BCG, as well as the airborne charging handle. Their upper is just a mil-spec upper. But again, everything Geissele does is just top notch, really high quality, really great quality control as well. It does come with the Huxworks Flow flash hider, which I like. I don't like using brakes on my guns because this is, again, a fighting rifle. I don't want to give away my position at night. It's about signature reduction. And so if you don't have a can for whatever reason and you have to run it without a can, then you have that flash hiding ability there with the flash hider there. So not a bad QD. I like the Huxworks stuff. It's a pretty great can. And the 5.56 did perform pretty well. Definitely not great for like all day shooting without ear pro, but you could shoot a few rounds without ear pro. I did one mag and it wasn't too painful. I would much rather have the 5.56 Flow on here or the 5.56K, although I do think the 7.62 performed a little bit better than the K did. It's hard to compare because I was shooting the K in an enclosed space and this guy was in open space, so I can't really compare the two apples to apples. But with that being said, guys, before we go over the setup and finish the video, do I recommend the Super Duty upper receiver group to my viewers? And the answer is absolutely, unequivocally yes, unless you are a super experienced AR builder or putter together. That you don't really build anything, but if you want to build something like this that has a custom gas port size and you have a very specific thing you want to achieve with said platform, then I think that the Super Duty is the best out of the box for the value. I will tell you this, and guys, they might not be happy about this, but never buy anything full price. All these parts I bought from Geissele's Blem sale, and Geissele has amazing sales during the holidays for like Black Friday, so on and so forth. And so does Brownells. And using my code as well, if you didn't want to be, if you were impatient like me and you wanted to get it right now, you could use the link in the description, use my code, bro code RDB10, and save a bunch of money on this upper receiver group. I'm not telling you that so I can make some money. I'm telling you that because I actually love this upper. And as far as just plug and play uppers go, I don't think there's a better option on the market today. That's coming from a Geissele fanboy, so take it with a grain of salt. I would have bought this upper if they hadn't sent it to me. I would have paid for it with my own money, but I figured, hey, why the hell not reach out and see if they'd send it? And they did, but that is just my 2 cents. For the quality, for the longevity and the balance between durability, accuracy, the weight, and the quality of the materials that you're getting for the price, I just don't think there's a better option out there today, guys. And I recommend this over the URGI. Although the URGI is its own total vibe, I wish they offered some Super Duties in the two-tone with the black upper receiver because I just like that better, but they don't, so it is what it is. So with my discount code, I believe it comes out to like around 1,200 bucks, maybe a little bit less. So for that kind of money, 100% unequivocally, this is the best upper receiver that you can buy off the shelf. Now that I got that all out of the way, you guys got my recommendation, and it has my stamp of approval because I absolutely love it. And if anything changes, you guys will be the first to know, but I anticipate I'll just grow to like it more and more. Now, with that being said, let's cover this thing blast end to ass end and talk about the way it's set up. So up here at the front, we already talked, it's the Huxworks Flow 7.62 Ti. I know it's oversized, but people have been shooting 30 cal cans on 5.56 guns for a very long time. There's benefits to it with traditional cans like lower back pressure. It's a little bit louder, but with this one, it is a little bit louder. It's already a low back pressure can. The gun doesn't even realize it's there. It ejects in the same exact way. It ejected with or without the suppressor at the 3 o'clock position, 3 to 4 o'clock. Perfect ejection, consistent ejection every single time, no matter the ammo type we were running. So great can. The flashlight underneath is also great as a standalone muzzle device, and but it's an 11.5. You're going to be shooting it suppressed, hopefully. Now, we've already talked about the barrel a little bit, but let's cover the handguard. This is the Mark 16 handguard. Now, it is a lightweight handguard. This is the same handguard that's on the URGI. My URGI did not come with these steel reinforced cups, however this one does, which I really like. I've never had an issue with the aluminum ones like you see on this Mark 16 right here, but that is a cool feature. Also, if you guys will notice on this Mark 16 rail, which is the same one that the URGI has, it has some tabs up here at the top as well as down here on the sides with some set screws. The Super Duty handguard actually uses a male end on the handguard and a female end on the upper receiver group. So that's the index similar to like an HK style indexing there. That gets rid of all those tabs on the side there, and it is a much more robust system if you ask me. I just like that it's integrated right into the upper, and you don't have to worry about trying to line up your upper and your handguard with a optic mount or something to make sure that it's straight when you bolt up your handguard. So that is a really nice feature of the Super Duty that you see right here. Geissele barrel nuts are super long. They have an infamous track record for being very robust. Is it going to be as durable as something like a RIS2 quad rail? No, but it's also half the weight or whatever. That's a number I just made up. I really love that. Going back from there, Geissele upper receiver group with their reliability enhanced BCG. We already talked about that a little bit. We are running the Badger Condition 1 mount. This is the 1.7 height, so it's 1.7 inches on height. This is an EOTech Voodoo 1 to 10. Love this thing, absolutely love the reticle, and it's phenomenal. It is not daylight bright, but it is pretty darn good for what it is for the price. You can find these things on Euro Optic for around 1,400 bucks-ish. So that is a really great value for what you're getting out of a 1 to 10. The 1X is pretty good, but I typically just run it at about 8 or 10X and use my top dot for up close stuff, which is a Holosun 509T. It is mounted up on the Badger like accessory mount, so it is very high, but it's also very good for passive aiming. We are running a 100 Concept Scope Cap Pro on the front here. I absolutely love these things. Anti-reflective devices, they work, and if you don't want to have it for any reason, you just pull the whole thing off, throw it to the side like so, and then you have better light transmission if that's what you're going for. But I absolutely love it, and I need to get one for my Holosun up top. Badger Condition 1 mounts, my favorite mounts as of today. I just really love the way they look aesthetically. I've never had an issue with them. They're solid as hell. We have the airborne charging handle, which is my favorite charging handle to date. It's great, it's small, it doesn't get hung up on your kit, and it just works. It works, and the finishes and the quality control on all this Geissele stuff is phenomenal, as we've already covered. Geissele upper receiver group, which is standard. On the other side, we are running a Maritime bolt catch and bolt release that you see right here. This is a Daniel Defense lower. This is my SBR lower, so it is just a standard Daniel Defense lower receiver. It does have a Geissele G2S trigger. This is their cheapest trigger, but it just works. It's two-stage. I like two-stage for many reasons. You can still shoot them fast, but I just prefer two-stage triggers. So I love those. Radian selector on the 45. That is my favorite selector switch. And I like the 45-degree throw because from the right-hand side of the gun, you can just very easily hit it on and off without breaking your grip whatsoever. You don't have to pull your hand off the gun like a lot of guys will do. You'll see them do this thing to pull off a 90-degree throw. So that's why I like the 45. Regular trigger guard, I don't know what that is. This is the Geissele grip that you see right here. They also did send me this for full disclosure because I asked them to. I think aesthetically it is a phenomenally good looking grip. I love the way it looks. And I am a Magpul K2 guy. That's the grip I run on all my other guns pretty much. This thing took a little bit of getting used to because it's not exactly the same as the K2. It's a little bit thinner, it's more narrow, and I have a really big hand. So for that reason, it's not quite as comfortable for me, but I love the very aggressive stippling that it has, and the grip angle is perfect. I just wish it was a little bit thicker for my hand, and I wish it had a little bit more of a beaver tail in the back because again, my hand's pretty big, and that beaver tail lets my hand sit back just a little bit further on the gun, which I like for my trigger press. But overall, I'm very impressed. This is probably my second favorite grip to date behind the K2. We have an HRF Concepts magwell on here as well. This thing, Hotfile made me a believer on these things. It just makes it an absolute funnel, especially for nods when you're shooting in low light or whatever, anything like that. It's going to give you a much better chance of getting it in the first time. That's what she said. I passed by this, so I want to come back to the Samson Manufacturing vertical foregrip that you see right here. This is their 2.0 version, essentially. So it's a lightened version. They took some aluminum away, but it's aluminum M-LOK direct mount, and then you could just unscrew the bottom that you see right here, and remove this. So if you wanted to do any bag work or you wanted to just have a more flat surface on the bottom, you could very easily do that in the field without tools, which I really like about these Samson Manufacturing. So if you guys want to buy one of these, I don't get any kickback for it, but you can use bro code RDB10 at samsonmanufacturing.com and you get 10% off. So again, don't make any money off that, but I like the product, I like the people, so I figured I could save you guys some money. There you go. All right, going back from there, guys, we have the Maritime bolt catch and bolt release. Absolutely love these things aesthetically, and they just work. I'm not a huge fan of bad levers. That's just me personally. That's a conversation for another day. We've covered everything on the lower. Mil-spec buffer tube, as we mentioned, BCM gunfighter stock, and we already talked about it, mil-spec spring and H3 buffer in buffer weight in the tube back here. So I believe that covers everything, guys. If I missed anything or you want to ask me anything else, let me know down in the comments below, or you can follow me on Instagram as well, because you could DM me on there. It's a little bit easier to communicate back and forth. Over there on Instagram, it's also Range Day Bro. So with that being said, guys, that's going to be it for today's video. I appreciate you guys staying to the end of the video. If you guys enjoyed it, please like, comment, and subscribe. Again, every comment helps, every like helps, keeps me motivated to keep doing these for you guys. Drink a lot of water. Christ is king. Love your neighbor, and just it's you versus you. Remember that. Just be better than you were yesterday, and then the world will be a better place overall because of you guys. So I love you guys. Thank you so much for all your support. If you guys have any other questions about these Super Duty upper that you see right here, or you want to see a direct comparison with a URGI at home or a real URGI, let me know down in the comments and we can make that happen for you guys. But otherwise, until next time, stay safe, stay dangerous. Range Day Bro.